major capsules, cases, and so much more. Today we're breaking down the best safe but still profitable investments. Now the first thing I want to focus in on are major capsules, and you might be thinking I wanted to focus in on Paris. However, that's not the case because Paris has not settled down. In fact, I want to focus in on Antwerp because I think Antwerp has a very advantageous position that we haven't fully realized yet, and that's going to be because of one specific thing. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now the reason I believe that Antwerp has a very strong future ahead of it has to do with one specific thing, and that's the supply that Antwerp has relative to the hollow rarity. If we want to look back at RMR and Stockholm, we can see that the purple tier was the hollows there. However, fast forward to today, we're now looking at the pink tier, which is 5 times rarer. This is extremely important because this also created the brand new glitters that Antwerp was the first to have. And we can see here that the glitters from Antwerp and the hollows from Stockholm actually had the same initial application rates, which is absolutely crazy considering they really shouldn't have. Even more so, we can look at the pink rarity tier and see that Antwerp absolutely dominated Stockholm in this area, especially towards the end when Stockholm foils really started to fall off because foils are not that interesting. Antwerp had the hollows there and they continued to dominate in that area. Now the reason I actually put the Antwerp capsules inside of this video is because of one specific thing, and that's the fact that when we saw that major drop off happen when Paris was released, Stockholm and Antwerp both saw a very comparable drop percentage wise. Theoretically, we should have seen a lesser drop from Stockholm just because it's got a little bit lower quantity and it's a little bit more stable as an investment. However, we didn't really see that, and therefore I still think Antwerp is in a very advantageous position. Now by no means is this not guaranteed to go down. However, the fact that Antwerp's market share at this point hasn't really been that they have the cheapest hollows, because Stockholm is still a little bit cheaper on that front, makes me think that Stockholm and Antwerp long term are in a good position. But I still think because Antwerp is so cheap, it's probably a little bit more beneficial to look into you just because you're going to be able to buy significantly more, but that's my opinion. Now the next thing I want to focus in on are the cheaper rare cases. Now these ones have not been doing much over the past month. In fact, a lot of them are actually down a couple percent, but I'm not too worried about that because of one specific thing, and that's the fact that if we want to look at our index right here, we can see that we're relatively on par. Now this is a very interesting one. This is the amount dropped minus the amount open, and as you can see, we're always in a deficit. However, we had that major deficit when we saw the Anubis package released, and now we're sitting about relatively average for what we were for the entirety of 2022. This is also very easily seen when we look at our actual unboxing numbers, and we see that we're looking at about 30 million and about 26.5 million after we take out the Anubis package, which is a very solid number if we want to compare it to past months. Obviously, nothing special is going on right now. However, you're not investing for right now, you're investing for the future, and the future of this area is extremely large. If we want to look at the 6 month of a lot of these rare, cheaper cases, we can see that they already had a very, very profitable past half year. But the truth is, I don't really expect any of these to slow down when we're looking at the next 6 months. A lot of these, in my opinion, have these very strong potential to go ahead and continue this straight up growth. The only thing that I can think about that negatively impacts this area is potentially an operation, but an operation is a short-term setback. And if we want to talk about even the shorter term here, since the beginning of this year, we can look at all of these different indexes right here, and they show that cases are up quite significantly, especially the newer cases. Those are up extremely high, over 150% in just 8 months. For that reason, for me, I would say this is a very strong area to look into. After that, we have the discontinued cases. Now there's 6 discontinued cases, 3 of them which are the esports cases we're not going to be talking about just because they hold super low potential. But when we're talking about the Riptide, the Broken Fang, and the Shattered Web case, there definitely is some potential there. However, in my opinion, when we're talking about safe investments, I think there's still better options than these ones. Theoretically, these are the safest investment because there is 0 cases that are added to the supply every single day. With that being said, we also wanted to focus in on profitable investments, and these ones are already sitting at a very expensive price point, which make me want to suggest possibly some other options. No, those are the top 3 in my opinion. However, I've got 6 more, the first of which is Discontinued Collections. Now these ones are definitely going to be extremely safe. I mean, there can't really be any more created because they're discontinued. The problem that comes with this area is the fact that people have already realized that, and if you're talking about an operation collection from one of the past 3, most likely it's gone up in price quite significantly since the operation has ended, meaning for me personally, personally, who likes to look for cheaper investments that haven't been exploded already, it's a really tough sell. I think it definitely holds the safety part, but talking about the profitability part is a little bit questionable. After that, we have major passes. Now for this one, it's just a tough sell once again for me because they are so expensive and they have virtually zero demand once the actual major ends. The main reason that the passes with tokens were going up is because of a glitch in the system, which allowed the people to redeem the tokens when the Paris major came out. That's the reason why they all exploded relatively recently. If we want to look at the past, that was not possible, and going into CS2, I don't expect that to be possible once again. Therefore, investing into the Paris pass with tokens is probably not going to be in your best interest, at least in my opinion. Now for me, Paris capsules are something I find extremely interesting. I've got a lot of videos on Paris because I think there is definitely a lot of potential in this area. However, to say it's safe would not just be disingenuous, it would just be completely wrong. These are just completely unpredictable at this point, and even though I believe they have a very strong future ahead of them, the fact is Paris is coming in with very little market share. That's because they're not the cheapest in the hollows, and when we look at the glitters, they are the cheapest there, but by no means is that enough information to go ahead and say that they're going to be a good investment as a capsule long term. We just don't know, and I think they're a really great area, but to say they're safe is just not right. I believe it should go without saying, but obviously the active duty cases are not a safe investment. They're very volatile, and we can definitely see that over the past couple of weeks. Now for me, trade up skins are an area that I really like. However, to say they're safe is not super reliable. If we want to look at the year span of a lot of trade up fillers, they have a very high volatility just because they're really dependent on what their use is at that time. Right now we can see the price is relatively low because there's not really a major use for a lot of these trade up fillers. There's no brand new case, there's no brand new operation, there's no brand new collection to use any of these skins, and therefore the price of them doesn't really move much. I would say these are definitely an area you should look into, but they're not really a safe investment, so to say. Now the last one on my list that's probably going to surprise you a little bit is any specific sticker. Any specific sticker is not going to be a super safe investment because they're extremely volatile. If we want to look at specific stickers, they usually go up a lot. However, they have the potential to also go down quite a lot if no one's interested in that specific sticker, which is not necessarily the case when we talk about the capsules they're specifically in. Usually if they go up, the capsules are going to follow and see some of that growth, and usually if they go down, the capsules potentially have a chance to be a little bit more resilient because of the other stickers in the capsule and not go down as much. It's a very safe alternative if you're looking for some specific stickers, but you don't want to take on a huge amount of risk. Coming to the end, I think the best out of this list is definitely going to be those cheaper cases that are in the rare drop pool. However, I will say don't always try and mitigate your risk down to zero. There's one area, the specific sticker area, that I think there's a lot of potential in that area. If you want to look at Antwerp, these ones completely outperform the regular capsules, and I think it's definitely safe to have a good healthy mix of everything risky and not risky inside of your CSGO portfolio. That's why I thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.